Hello, everyone. Let me just work on a couple things here as you're all joining me today. Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Let's get live on Facebook. And I'm just about ready. So let's share to the group. Freedom from migraines, and let's go live. Hopefully this will work for us today. I want to make sure I'm pulling up on Facebook. Okay, good. When did I do something wrong? Got it. Okay. Hello, I'm open in chat right now. Can you all look and see and leave me a message to let me know that you are all in chat here? Okay. Brenda, I hope everybody can get in now. Let's see if we are live on Facebook. Okay, looks like we are. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Paula. Oh, great. Hi, Lori. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Robin. It's great to see you today. Thank you. I'm excited. It's sunnier out. I have my scarf on that shows a little spring weather, even though I have a sweater on with it. But hey, we're working for that warmer weather out there. So hopefully it will all come to us. So I'm going to open up for panelists to join today. I know we have some questions today. And if you're joining me and you would like to come on live, that would be great. If you choose not to, that's totally fine with me also. So as we get started today, I'm going to invite all that would like to come. Make sure I can do this right. Just open it to participants. There we go. Attendees, I'm letting you all in. Okay, yay. Looking for all of you on here. Cool. So I'm happy to see you. And if you come on later, if you're watching it as a replay, please, in Facebook, please just post hashtag replay and let me know if you need any further information as we go forward. So today, we're going to talk about a few different things. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm happy to have you, as we all are happy to have you. And I just want to let you know that you can make comments in chat, and I check in with those throughout the call. And I want to remind each and every one of you that I'm not a licensed mental health provider. If you're struggling with your mental health or concerned about your mental health, please contact your local doctor or medical health clinic. And I want to say through these mindfulness calls, you're going to learn different skills that can increase your ability to cope with stress, pain, and all the challenges that come with having migraines. I want to share with you, those that are new and those that are still here, I have a picture up on my wall. It's just a pretty painting of the definition of mindfulness. And so it is an awareness of paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment. So being non-judgmental of yourself and how you're practicing, or of others and how they practice. Mindfulness is something that's very individual, and each of you can create your own mindfulness practices that works for you. So as I go through these calls, I give suggestions and ideas. I do a lot of research, and I work through the University of Idaho with an instructor, a PhD that teaches mindfulness. And I've also done a mindfulness-based stress reduction class. And so that's where I'm getting my information. And I also get a lot from John Kabat-Zinn's work on mindfulness. And he says that mindfulness is about being fully awake in our lives. So remember that as we talk about having migraines, and how this is one of the practices that we can do to help relieve that anxiety, that depression, that stress we get that comes with having migraines, as well as dealing with the pain that we're in with migraines. So I want to thank everybody for your questions today. I really appreciate the input. It helps formulate these question and answer classes, and it helps me go back and look at things and research new ideas to help you, which in turn helps me personally. I am a migrainer for over 50 years, but I'm doing really good, and it feels good to feel good. So every Friday, the last Friday of every month, we have a question and answer class. So if you have questions throughout the month, you don't have to keep them till the last week of the month. Please reach out to me anytime you want to, and I can get back to you as soon as possible, because the sooner you can find tools to put in your toolbox for you, the sooner your migraine freedom will come to you. So our first question today is from Maya. And her question is, how do I control my thoughts when I have high expectations from others and am easily irritated by problems? So I don't know if Maya is here today. I don't see her, so hopefully she'll get to watch this later. But I have some suggestions for Maya and all of us as we go through this. So the first thing I would say is, in mindfulness, we acknowledge we have thoughts going in and out of our minds constantly. So our mind is in control of our bodies, but remember, we can be in control of the thoughts that go in and out of our minds. So I would say, first of all, don't try to run or forget thoughts that make you feel uncomfortable. The mind is very powerful, and it controls every response we have, even those that are automatic responses, like our flight or fright mode. And I'll talk about that in the next question a little bit more, but just mentioning it here. So what you do when a thought comes into your head is try to take a cleansing breath. And a cleansing breath, we can all do differently, but we can be in control of it anytime of any day, wherever we're at. And people don't need to know that we're doing it. So a cleansing breath for me is a deep breath filling my stomach. So I take it through my nose and fill my stomach, and then I let it out slowly through my mouth. And when you're practicing mindfulness, not always is one breath enough to bring a calmness to my body. I carry most of my stress in my shoulders and in my neck, and I had a lot of neck pain with my migraines. I don't have that anymore, but when I do feel stress coming on, I notice it there. And so that's my first thing I address, is taking a deep breath and trying to bring calmness and relaxation to that part of my body. So try it again on your own, taking a deep breath in and a slow release breath out. You can do this 2 to 3 to 5 times, whatever works best for you. Another practice that helps me is to close my eyes so that I'm not taking in my surrounding world. I can actually just think about what I want to think about at that time, and I don't have any distraction. So as a thought comes into your head, such as a frustration or expectation of yourself that is overwhelming you, try to label it when you close your eyes as a thought, as an expectation. You don't have to take that on. You can just label it as a thought and let it go. Now, this will take practice over time. And the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. Then try to bring up something pleasurable in your mind that you do want to think about, or an activity that you want to think about, or a food item that is pleasurable for you to eat, that you want to go eat. Take yourself to go eat that. Try to label that as a thought and then move your mind in a different direction. Each time that thought or unpleasant feeling or thought returns, again, label it and shift your mind. Practicing as often as you can to create new pathways in the brain. And as these pathways are created by practicing the breathing and the mindfulness thoughts, it gets easier and easier as you practice because those pathways are getting built. Another thing I want to share with you, Maya, is high expectations are something you can take on from others, not just yourself. I can share that with you. I was the first child in my family, the second youngest of 23 cousins, but the first to go to college. I carried that stress of wanting to succeed. And little did I know that there were many other people that had those expectations of me also. Now, they were happy expectations and they were supportive expectations, but I realized how much stress that was putting on me when I was in college. Now, that's just an example. But remember, you can't control what others think of you, but you can control the expectations you put on yourself. We often forget to be kind and compassionate to ourselves. Think about how you would treat a child who is having too high of expectations for themselves. Say they were, I'm thinking of my granddaughter who was little but wants to jump from the high bars. Well, she's not big enough to do that. She could hurt herself. So what do? We either get down on a child's level or we talk to them sitting one-on-one. We're compassionate with that child. Why don't we treat ourselves like we treat those children? We need to be kind and compassionate with our expectations of ourselves. So do this for yourself. Try to reframe your negative thoughts into positive thoughts when you're having a conversation with yourself. So set expectations that are comfortable and are compassionate. Another suggestion for you is on March 16th, I did a call on relationships. So March 16th, 2023. And you might want to watch that. It just gives you some more ideas to help with emotions you have when you're dealing with high expectations that you receive from others. I would have to remind you and say that breathing can be your first best friend in learning the mindfulness. So practice that first, Maya, and then practice that when you're having the high expectations of yourself or or are easily irritated by problems. Try to slow down your mind by your breathing and remember that you need to be compassionate. So my second question was asked by Nicole. And Nicole, would you be interested in coming on to talk today? I've pulled you up. I don't know if you'd be interested.
Hi.
Hey, Nicole, how are you doing today?
Good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I love those techniques for the first question. So I think they're probably going to cross over a bit into mine as well.
I think there are a few when I was working through this that might cross over. Yes, you're right. So I'm going to give you a suggestion that you can try, but your question was, what mindfulness practice would you recommend that I do when I have anxious thoughts surrounding two biological family members? Recently, when a thought or memory pops up in your consciousness, your body goes into the fight or flight or fright mode. So you've been practicing your breathing, meditation, and getting outside in nature and walking and in prayer time. That's awesome. I suggest you continue that. I hope that works for you. But I would also suggest that giving yourself a little time each morning to give yourself centering focus for your thought process throughout the day. So what I would suggest you do, I have this written on my side screen, so I'll be reading off of that. I would suggest that you create a picture in your mind, thinking, or you can draw it, or you can write it out. What can I do for my integrity to stay true to my own self while being generous to myself and others? So again, what can you do for your integrity to stay true to yourself, but also feeling like you're being generous and out there for others? Maybe write something down so you can see it concretely. For me, once I see something concretely, like, let's talk about this for a minute. What would be something that will help you stay true to your integrity when you're dealing with others?
That's a great question.
Do you want to stay true to having calmness in your body?
Yes, I want to be calm. I want to be compassionate with myself, which that is something that I'm learning slowly, but learning and practicing. I'm compassionate with others. And of course, my profession, that's, what I've done for all these years, taking care of patients. So I have compassion with others, but I didn't realize until, over the last several years that I wasn't compassionate and kind to myself, with the little negative self-talk and, it's like, and then finally, when I started catching myself, once again, like you said, I have to just keep practicing. And it's getting less and less and less. As soon as that little thought starts where I'm going to beat myself up because I didn't do whatever, whatever it is that I had an expectation of myself, I can stop it now. Where before it would just go on and on. So I think to protect my integrity, I would want, it was just like you said about what would you do if you were chatting with a child, be compassionate, be honest.
That's a big one for me. I actually,
peaceful.
Yeah, maybe even in a note in front of you, maybe by your bedside or when you're drinking coffee or something that you can post it on a cupboard or something. Just maybe write the word compassionate, honesty, so that that's in your mind's eye when those thoughts come up or when you're dealing with your close family members, to try to stay true to your integrity, and being compassionate and being honest are two of the things that will bring you closest to your integrity. So you don't have to compromise yourself
That sounds great.
and because many times we, as you just said, you put yourself out there for everybody else and you end up in compromise your integrity because you're giving so much. And in the end, your cup is empty.
Exactly.
So how can you keep your cup fulfilled? By staying true to yourself and staying true to your honesty and your compassion with yourself, but also being able to be there for others. And remember that you don't have to take on what you perceive their thoughts or views of you are, or of the situation.
Exactly.
You can
I
look
don't have
at it
to
and
fix
say,
it.
yeah,
And that's where I think, that's been my role
yep.
in dysfunctional scenarios where, you know, Florence Nightingale comes racing and just
Well,
thinks
and there's,
thinks she can fix it. You know what I mean? It's like, I've got the answer. So it's one of those things where I think also when you talk about integrity and being true to myself, it's also having good boundaries and not having to get caught up in the dysfunctional, communication going back and forth, and just kind of let things work out. And that's where, I try to turn it over to God, because they're bigger situations that what I can handle.
yes,
And
yes.
they trigger. I think what was so scary is that, I realize I've known for years that there are two individuals, females, that can be my triggers if I'm not protecting myself. So that's what was really interesting, that I'm so far away. And however, just like thoughts, like we were just like thinking about maybe a trip, and it was like all of a sudden, and it sounded really good at first. And then, nothing, it's not like it was coming to fruition, but it was just a little chit chat, between my husband and I, because my mom has had a loss, her significant other. So it's like, oh, and then all of a sudden it was like total panic of like, I'm not ready for this. And I think a lot of it, as I sent you the question, I was thinking, fear, fear is the biggest emotion that I feel around them. And I don't, and then fear jumped in that if I do embark on this, I don't want to go backwards in my migraine freedom, and
Right.
I'm not ready. And I think that's, for me, I'm wound in such a way that I looked back at several big situations in my life. I have to get big reminders from God that this isn't going to work for you. It's not like these little subtle things. It was like, say, like, leaving one of my favorite positions, but my boss wouldn't hire a nurse to help to assist me as my assistant. And I got a horrible upper respiratory infection, literally on steroids, and my asthma was back from childhood. I mean, it was huge. And so this kind of reminded me a little bit about that. And I did resign, and, we've remained friends. And it was just, I need those big bangs over the head. So with this, it was like when my body reacted like that, it was like, okay, this is really serious. And it was waking me up.
Right. Your body has, that's another thing I was
A
talking about.
memory.
Yeah, it has a muscle memory. Your brain
Uh-huh.
has a muscle memory. And I think as we get healthier in our migraine freedom, we forget those things that caused us to get there in the first place, or that happened along the way. One of the things that you said is, many times in a familial relationship, because you're the fixer or the one that is looked at to solve a situation, we put that pressure on ourselves,
Mhm.
and we don't move away from other people, allowing ourselves to really be in that sense. If we don't feel comfortable there, we don't have to be there, but we are the only ones that can move ourselves from
Exactly.
that situation. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is really look at what your body is telling you, because you're right. You don't want to go backwards.
No,
Your
it's
body
not,
is
it's
telling you.
not worth it,
No,
and
it's
so,
not.
and luckily nothing had been mentioned. So
Yes.
it wasn't like, now I've got to backtrack and then, ruminate on what even though I know I can't control other people's thoughts, it's like, just going through that whole scenario. So it just told me that I'm not where I need to be, emotionally, to put myself in it felt very unsafe. If
Right.
that's, it
And
just felt so scary and so unsafe for me. And it's like, and it's sad to say that, they're two of my biological family members, but they truly I've allowed them to be triggers
yes,
for me. I've
yes.
allowed them to
Yeah.
bring on some of the worst migraines that I've had, because
Right.
I just didn't know how to take care of myself,
Right.
protect
And now you
myself.
do. So I would suggest to you, take the first step in planning. So in the future, you be in control of yourself and what a situation would look like, so that you can plan it out in your mind, so that it doesn't come up like somebody's suggestion. You're like, oh crap, here we go again. I'm right back in that childhood
Yeah.
memory and feeling. Actually give yourself the compassion to plan it out and find a way that in your comfort zone, it can be a small visit that feels good to you.
What happens if it never feels good?
That's
Just
okay.
don't do it. Yeah. See, and
That's
that
okay.
was the other thing, like we've talked about, where if we're in a situation and I'm uncomfortable, I can always get up and say we're in a restaurant and just go to the restroom. Just step
Yes.
outside for a minute and take a deep breath. Where for whatever reason, I was, my mom raised us with such, etiquette, that it was like, that would be rude, to just, pop up and excuse myself. But now it's like, I think because I've had this taste of migraine freedom, that it's absolutely, these feelings were like, the thought of me having to go with, my 911 kit and all this other, and then remembering ER visits, all related around, these people. And those were the only times I ever had them. It was when I would travel there, and it would be this, and it was just, I think the way I'm wired and all that tension in my body and my neck pain. And so, the just like you said, you haven't had neck pain. And it's like, I realized a couple of weeks ago on a coaching call that was my win. I've had neck pain
It's
my
a
whole
huge
life.
one. Yes.
My whole adult life. I don't ever remember waking up with no neck pain. And so it was like, oh, I mean, this may sound like nothing to some people that are new in the program, but this is like
Huge.
gargantuan,
Yeah. So again, I would go back to just remembering to be true to yourself. And like you said, maybe look back at yourself as you would treat a child. Be compassionate, but be strong in your convictions. And so set up, the thoughts in your mind's eye, that you can go to, whether it be words or a picture or whatever, to give yourself that integrity to stay true to who you are and to who your thoughts are, what your thoughts are.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I love that word integrity. So you really
Yep.
made me think, because that's, something that I stand on, is my integrity. But for some reason around certain people, that kind of
Yep. And we allow ourselves, to go there. So I just want to say thank you for the question. That was awesome.
Thank
And
you.
I
Thank you for
hope
taking the
it helped.
time to offer. That really helps.
Good. Okay, well, we'll talk to you
Okay.
later, Nicole.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, let me see if I can go back to just doing one participant at the time on the screen. Maybe we can get there, maybe we can't. I'm working on things, so we'll see how it goes. Maybe Nicole will just be on my screen for forever. Oh, okay, I can see on Facebook she's not. So let's go on with our last question of the day. And I really thoroughly enjoyed reading this question. And it's from Erin for Keaton. What are your suggestions for the best mindfulness practices to help during a migraine? Sometimes the pain holds her back from relaxing. Okay, you are very correct in how controlling and consuming pain can be. The first thing I want to share is that you are not your pain. Pain is a physical sensation, not your identity. You are a whole human being who is dealing with a medical condition. And once I could frame my mind around that, it helped ease some stress in my body. So I'm not a doctor. And I don't have to say, hi, I'm Cheryl, and I have a migraine. I can be Cheryl without migraine being tagged onto the back of it. Even though we have them, we can look at the different type of pain that it causes in our body. There's 3 different kinds of pain that are caused in our body. There's a physical pain, a mental pain, and an emotional pain. And so I would suggest that you help Keaton look at the physical pain first. So what can she do for the physical pain that she is in when she's in a migraine? How can you reduce that physical pain? Some suggestions I have. I use a cold cap. It is called an ice cap, but I don't put it in the freezer. The freezer is too cold for me. I like just the refrigerator coldness of it. You can find those on Amazon if you don't have one, or you could do any sort of gel pack, and you can lie that in the refrigerator and just wrap it up with a dish towel and put it across your head or back of your head or on the side of your head, wherever the physical pain is. And if the cold doesn't work with you, warmth works for some people, but not too hot, because this may open the blood vessels in your brain and cause more flow of blood to that pain area. So not too hot, but it can be warm. And try to lay down in a dark, quiet area that is comfortable for you. So that's dealing with the physical pain. Sometimes I have a weighted blanket that my family bought me. And in the wintertime, when I have a migraine, pulling that weighted blanket on top of me gives me a sense of calmness for the physical. The next pain I would like to talk about is mental pain. And accept this in your mind as a medical condition. So remind yourself that you're not a medical doctor, but you didn't bring this on yourself or ask to have migraines. You aren't bad for having migraines. You are one of every 4 women in the world that suffer from migraines. When I read that information, it was very powerful for me, for my mental health, knowing that I wasn't alone. And when I joined this group, I've never been in a group that has such support. It truly helped me through the whole process more than anything was all this. So remember, you're not alone. So many times we find ourselves in our own small world, but in reality, we are part of such a big group who is suffering. So for your mental health, try to picture yourself one of many versus me, myself, and I. And this is happening to me. And this is all while you're in a migraine, while you're in that pain. That's your mental pain. Now let's move to the emotional pain. You'll learn in this particular program that emotions are a significant part of migraines. I didn't know this before joining the program. I thought that I was the only one that cried or screamed in pain when it was so severe I couldn't stand it. I want you to know that we all suffer from some sort of emotional pain. So my first suggestion to you is to allow yourself to have those emotions. If you bottle them up inside you, many times your head pain will get worse. and your depression and anxiety, if you suffer from any of that, or even just the stress of the pain, may get worse or may extend the migraine. So allow yourself to have those emotions. Each of us has individual things that soothe us while we're in emotional pain. For me, I love, well, this particular sweater is fuzzy and soft. I love softness. It is very soothing to me. I used to like solid quietness. I now like to enjoy soothing music or a soothing voice. I have an app on my phone that's free. I'm just going to grab my phone here. I didn't write down what it was. Let me check it out. Sorry for being a little longer for you, but I wanted to look at the app. It's called Balance. And just look it up in your app store. It can be a paid subscription, but I've had it for less than a year and it's still free. So try that out. There's 3 different voices on there, a woman's voice and an older man and a younger man. I found that the younger man's voice is very soothing to me, and it has different mindfulness practices. Like if you want to go to sleep, and his voice tapers off at the end. So that might be a thought for something for you to try. I'd like to ask what your thoughts are on music. Do you like calming music? Do you like nature sounds? Maybe beach sounds or instrumental music that's soothing to you? Maybe looking into something that brings calmness to your body in music and put it on your Pandora or, whatever music you have on your phone. Another suggestion is trying to do a mindfulness activity, focusing on something that brings you pleasure. So while you're lying there in pain, I know the pain can be intense. The pain can also bring a color. Red comes to my mind a lot when I'm in pain because red is a color for pain. I try looking into the blackness in my mind's eye, and I just keep searching deeper and deeper for blacker and blacker and black. Black doesn't have to be negative. So when you close your eyes and you can see the blackness, just stay within that blackness. It can be calming to you. You can also close your eyes and think about something that brings pleasure to you, such as petting a dog or having fun with your friends. And try to think this thought as long as you can. If another thought comes into your head, such as, am I going to be awake in time to go to practice this evening, or, get up and eat dinner, label it as a thought and then let it leave and bring back that picture of your friends doing a fun activity or, a bright, sunshiny day on the beach, something that brings you pleasure. Okay. So you can also think in your mind about eating something that is your favorite food. So you might be in pain and you're not getting up to eat, but you can actually bring those sensations into your mind and into your senses. So for me, pizza is a favorite food. Now, while in a migraine, it might make my stomach curl, but I also love soothing mints. And that brings pleasure to me. So I can actually think about the taste that mint brings into my mouth. And I focus on that taste and how my tongue enjoys that taste and maybe how easy or hard it is to swallow it. So just take some moments to try to, I would say, distract your mind from that pain by bringing up those pleasurable thoughts or the pleasurable listening. And you can also focus on breathing. So again, that cleansing breathing, taking a deep breath in and out, and you can do it as many times as you want or as few times as you want. There's also box breathing, which you do by taking a deep breath in and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, let it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it out. 1, 2, 3. And you've completed a box. One thing I've also found that is comforting to me when I turn on soothing music. I was a music student in high school. I liked playing the band, so the beat means a lot to me, and I can actually breathe to the beat. So it distracts my mind from thinking about how much pain I'm in because I'm actually thinking about breathing to the beat of the music. So these are all suggestions today. I thank each one of you for sending in questions. It helps build our call. I know I've kept you over about 11 minutes today. I'm sorry about that, but I hope these have given each of you ideas to practice mindfulness in simple, easy, short ways. Remember, the more you practice, the better you get it. And it can lessen your stress, anxiety, and possibly depression. So next week, we're going to work on our senses and doing a little lesson that we can focus on the senses and how much pleasure each of our senses can bring to us. So as you go into the rest of your day today, into the weekend, and into next week, I asked you to be kind to yourself and with yourself as you go through these practices. It's hard to take on something new, but just be patient. I'm happy that you spent this time with me today. Thank you for giving yourself that time and allowing yourself to take the time. Have a great week. I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.